Okay, and hello, and welcome to the Geek Battle show here on the Extreme Improv Extremes YouTube channel, as well as the Geek Battle YouTube channel. Make sure you smash that subscribe button wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. If you're listening to the audio version of the show on your favorite podcast platform, Cap, like we finally done it. We've siphoned off the others. If you're watching us, you will see we've got a split screen. We're going to look big on everyone's screens. No more of this tiny stuff. How are you doing,
We are
Cap?
finally engaged on portrait.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cap, it may just be you and me. We may have someone else drop in, but I'm sure we got a bunch of things we can talk about. I know I've got a few things, but do you have a geek fact for the week or anything like that?
I actually do. So, hail everyone from the land of leopards, elephants, crocodiles, and flood. Now it's Sean. My geek fact for today is from The Lion King. So, in The Lion King, the iconic song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," which
Yeah.
was for a kids' movie, was quite of hot stuff. But
Ooh.
if you watch Lion King Part 3 or Lion King 1.5, which tells the backstory of Timon and Pumbaa and the back of the scenes story of everything, you actually see Timon and Pumbaa getting jealous of their Simba's dating Nala, and they're basically trying to ruin their date. And that kind of ends up with all the awkward, hot stuff in the original song. So the reason why they tumble together is because Timon and Pumbaa had a rope on them and tripped them.
That's awesome. I like the fact that they like. I'd love to see like an edited together combined Lion King 1.5 or Lion King 3 with the original, just to see how like the timeline edit of the whole thing comes together.
If that works, like a lot of the scenes where Simba's triumphant moments were mostly thankful to Timon and Pumbaa. I think even in the last scene, they were the guys who broke the ground. So when Scar falls, he just falls through the ground into the pit of
Yeah.
hyenas. They are the ones who did that.
Wow, they're the ones that killed him then.
Technically, yes.
Wow. Okay, well look, since it's just you and me here, I'll give a geek fact of the week as well. I'm going to literally leech off of what you just said and say a Lion King based one. And I've probably said this before on the show somewhere, but in the movie The Producers, the like the musical version, so like the original was Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel in like 1968 or something, but then they did a musical version in the late 90s. And when it first went on stage, and then especially when it was a movie, the actors that played the two main characters were Matthew Broderick, who voiced Simba, and Nathan Lane, who voiced Timon. And there is one scene where they're in a bar with a drunk guy who was the voice of Pumbaa. Now, they had to have done that as a reunion on purpose.
Oh my god, I never realized Pumbaa was in that film.
Well, I don't know if he was in like if they cut him or if he was in the actual, just in like deleted scenes. Let's bring it up. Pumbaa producers. See if I can bring it up. Pumbaa producers. It's got to come up somewhere. The actor that plays Pumbaa.
That was a
I can't find it. I'll try to find it at some point.
That was a Mel Brooks movie, right?
It was, yeah.
I think he did History of the World Part 2 recently. I've only watched one episode where it was mostly musical stylish.
Recently, Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
He's got to be like 96 or something.
Yeah, but he still did History of the World, and I think he wasn't like too much on it. In the first episode, he was more like a floating head attached to a muscly body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like he was in one episode of Only Murders in the Building in 2023. History of the World Part 2. What platform is that on?
I think it's Prime, I think. That's Amazon Prime.
That is something I definitely need to look up. Like there's a bunch of older like Mel Brooks stuff which I think is just like amazing. So and in Transylvania he voiced Vlad.
Yeah. That was it.
Wow, that's amazing.
He's still doing movies. He was also in an animated film called Paws of Fury, which had Samuel L. Jackson and also him.
That's insane. Like, he was born in 1926, so he is 97 years old. That
Oh my!
that
He's
is a
only
real,
he's 97, right?
yeah.
So he's only 3 years younger than Disney.
Wow. Well, technically, and this is one of the things I was going to come to today. Technically, does that mean that Mel Brooks is out of copyright now? Is Mel Brooks in the public domain?
It
Because
has to be. I mean,
yeah,
I
like
gotta
if
live to 100, right?
yeah, well, no, like it's 95 years. So technically, Mel Brooks, I now officially declare, is in the public domain, and
You
he's
can
still
make a
alive.
parody out of him. You can make a
Yeah,
parody out of him or do anything with it.
yeah. Well, actually, Cap, that brings us to one of the things which I was going to bring up, which would be a fun talking point. I think maybe not for long. We'll find out. But so this year, obviously, Mickey Mouse went into the public domain because Steamboat Willie, and Tigger went into the public domain, and like last
They
year there
immediately,
was the Winnie the Pooh. But
yeah.
I saw an article that apparently, well, it's not apparently, it's like obviously when you think about it, but it's in about 10 years' time, Superman is going to be out of copyright.
Oh my
And
god.
yeah, I'll tell you the few things here. So let's see if I've got it here. No, that's not the article. I literally just had it as well. So, but it was like Superman's going to be out of copyright in about in about 2036. So it's 100 years or 95 years after they were made. And oh, where is the article? I literally just had it.
So you're basically going to have Superman in every country. The India already done it, I think. A parody
Well,
version
yeah,
of
but like
Superman.
literally, like we could do it. We could do it with a full mustache. So let's see. Where does it say the dates?
You know, Henry Cavill could just go, you know what, screw you, James Gunn. I have the money. I'm going to produce my own Superman movie.
Well, yeah, exactly. But hang on, just so we don't forget, let's just bring it up. Such a lot of effort. Boom, Henry Cavill. Right, right. Okay, so it says here that Superman will go into the public domain along with Lois Lane in 2034. So 10 years from
Ooh.
now. Batman in 2035. The Joker in 2036. And Wonder Woman in 2037. So,
What,
like, you go on, Cap.
one thing though, like these characters been in the public eye for so long. People already just do these characters, whether it's short films or skits and jokes like that. The one big change will be is that movie productions can now make movies out of it, like normal horror movie productions, gonna Superman horror movie or something like that.
Well,
But other than
or
that, I
even,
don't think this is a big change.
I think it will be because, like, we've got a horror film Winnie the Pooh, and
Yeah,
there's going to be a horror film Mickey Mouse. Now,
yeah.
the reason I don't think that there has been like a serious Winnie the Pooh film from Warner Brothers or one from DreamWorks or whoever, whatever studios out there, is because I think there is an unspoken like agreement between the studios that look, our stuff is about to fall out of copyright, but it won't be long until yours does too.
So
So
don't do
it will
it.
suddenly be the battleground where if you use Mickey Mouse now, in 5 years' time, we're taking Bugs Bunny and stuff like this. They're all going to have this unwritten agreement, unsaid, unvoiced agreement that like you don't take ours, we won't take yours, and stuff like this. Because Warner Brothers literally could be putting out a Steamboat Willie movie if they wanted. And it's
In a weird way, they can make Roger Rabbit 2 again. Now they
exactly.
have a chance to do that.
Well, imagine if they did Roger Rabbit 2 and the only like non-Warner Brothers Looney Tunes had gone it were the Winnie the Pooh cast and Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. That would still
Yeah,
work. You got
yeah. I mean, like,
some of the big ones. You got the heavy hitters.
well, it could be at one of the studios with these guest Disney stars in them. You can still make because they have the tons of Looney Tune characters. It's not going to be a empty Toontown. And also, they
Well,
have a
yeah,
bunch
but
of
what
Cartoon
but
Network characters.
wouldn't it just be Space Jam Town unless they got Mickey in there?
It's who actually does have more claims to the Tiny Toon land?
The Tiny Toons?
So sorry, the what's the land they call the Toontown? Like who actually does have the rights to Toontown?
I don't know, to be honest. I
I
don't
think
know if it was more of a Disney film or more of a Warner Brothers film.
so. Anyone who has that is going to have a stronger claim to the movie, because you can't have a Roger Rabbit film without Toontown. That was the main point of everything in that film. You can
Yeah.
fill up Toontown with Warner Brothers characters alone, but you can't technically do a movie without Toontown.
1 second, Cap. Right, good. I'm just trying to see if I can find that out. Let's bring it up here. So, what was it depends who the production company was. So, who?
I also heard that they were actually going to do a Roger Rabbit 2, but then it failed for some reason. It didn't go through.
Yeah, like I think a couple of times they've tried to make it a thing, and I don't know why. Like I know there's been a short film, and I think it was in front of a Disney film, so it suggests it's Disney. So let's see. Robert Zemeckis, based on Frank Marshall. Let's see. Production companies: Touchstone, Amblin, Silver Screen. Distributed Buena Vista, which is definitely Disney. But Touchstone, who is that? Is that okay? So Touchstone is a production label of Walt Disney Studios. Amblin is obviously Steven Spielberg's, and I don't know if that still exists as it is. Amblin Entertainment, formerly such and such. Don't know if it still exists. Might do. I don't know, to be honest. Right,
so
and then
Warner Brothers only had the characters. I would say, like they had no say in the movie.
It would seem so. Like I'm sure they had a lot of like veto power because there was the whole thing that Mickey and Bugs had to have the same number of lines. You know.
But the sad truth is, I think Mickey won. Bugs Bunny, in a sense, is like going out of like in. I think with my generation, we like in 2000s they had the Baby Looney Tunes. We kind of grew up with the Baby Looney Tunes and the Bugs Bunny show. I think nowadays they're not much of a big thing. Like I remember this exact moment when I was teaching a kid. I was using a pronoun solution, and so I showed a clip. I said, like, so this is how you understand pronouns. You know that a Bugs Bunny cartoon where they have a pronoun trouble, and she was like, "Who is Bugs Bunny?" And I was like, "Oh, ouch!"
Yeah, that's
so. Mickey actually have won the Toon War in a sense. Like he's more of a. I think even Mickey Mouse cartoons, they still put out cartoons of Mickey Mouse for young kids. But Mickey Mouse as a brand, I think, is much more of a thing. Like you can't imagine Disney without Mickey. But with Warner Brothers, that's not a thing anymore. Bugs Bunny used to show up at every Warner Brothers logo, but right now he doesn't. So
well, they did Space Jam too, and there was going to be that Brendan Fraser, or not Brendan Fraser, that John Cena. I was muddling up my Acme thing, and so I assume that Bugs would have been in that. But my theory on that, Cap, is at a certain point they became aware that Mickey Mouse is going to go out of copyright, so they were probably like, Disney were the ones that changed the copyright laws by campaigning to get them extended. But when they were like in the 1980s and they were like, we've got 10 years of Mickey Mouse left, I think they were like, we'll still use Mickey, but we're not going to put out a major movie with Mickey in because we're going to lose him. And I think that's also what's happening with Bugs Bunny.
Oh, so if they don't create a big movie, you say, wait, I don't understand that one.
Okay, so if you're about to, well, look, I'm going to, look, I'm wearing a Royal Rumble t-shirt. I'm going to use a wrestling analogy. If you say you've got The Rock under contract and he's about to leave, you're not going to keep using him for the next 3 months because you think, well, then he's going to be gone, and the thing we've been focusing on is not ours, is not here anymore. If they're about to lose copyright control of Mickey Mouse, why promote it if it's suddenly going to be that anyone can benefit from it?
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to look up Bugs Bunny.
if they make Bugs Bunny relevant again, they're gonna lose a lot when they lose him out of
Yeah.
copyright.
Oh my god. Okay.
Ah,
Created in the late 1930s. So literally the time is ticking out.
yeah, I think
1938, which minus 5 years. Oh, it says 85 years ago.
he's
So
got 15 years more.
yeah, well, no, it's had 95 years. 95. So they've got 10 years.
Oh yeah,
Wow. So
there's
the
probably.
same Warner Brothers are going to lose Superman and Bugs Bunny in the same year.
Oh my god,
That's insane.
the two icons of that company, like Superman and Bugs
Yeah.
Bunny.
Oh my god.
So
Okay, it says Porky. Let's find out when Porky Pig was made. Porky Pig.
he's the original.
1938. So Porky Pig is going to go out of. So that's all, folks. Literally in 10 years' time. That's
Everyone's gonna go. That's
insane.
all, folks.
Yeah, anyone can say it. Well, you've been stealing that for like 3 years that
Yeah.
I've known you. You know, that's how you end every show, right?
I
Wow.
once did that in. So I've been keep doing that, and even in my YouTube channel. So I end with that's all, folks.
Yeah.
One time, for some weird reason, it got muted. Like the last bit got muted, and it wasn't my editing thing. It got muted on its own. So I was like, are they catching up?
Wow. That's
And
that's crazy though.
it's actually a video that did well. So that's why I assumed, oh, maybe they're on to me.
Yeah. Okay.
But
According to this, Woody Woodpecker, first appearance 1940. So that would be in 12 years' time. All of these things which have been famous for like a century. Like it's weird because I almost feel like, well, these things obviously time is different from like how it was when you think of like Shakespeare or I don't know, like Nicholas Nickleby coming out and stuff like this, right? So it's like, well, they would fall into the public domain because otherwise they'd be lost to time. Nothing is
yeah,
lost to time anymore. So it feels weird that they should suddenly go out of copyright. But if it wasn't for things going out of copyright, we wouldn't have like Cinderella or Snow White or The Little Mermaid. We wouldn't have any of these Disney movies. You know, we wouldn't
yeah.
have like most of the Sherlock Holmes stuff. We wouldn't have like the like Dracula and Frankenstein. We wouldn't have any of these movies. So things going out of copyright is kind of a good thing.
I think it's for mainly for the companies. It's much of a butthurt is because weirdly, like the media boom, the generations are still alive when the media boom hit. So they're like, oh, we can still make money off of them until they die. They're not going to
Yeah.
die until generations, and
Yeah.
they don't want another company to bandwagon it and steal their audience. That's their main problem. I think they're going to do. That's why there's never been a Goofy movie. Like Goofy movie was such a success.
Wait, there's never been a Goofy movie.
There have been a movie. There's never been a third movie.
Okay. Yeah, well, do you know what? When was the Goofy movie?
It was in the 90s, and the other one was in the 2000s, and afterwards they were off.
Do you think was it 2D?
Yes, 2D. Both of them were 2D.
See, that's going to be why.
Sorry?
Goof is 2D, so unless they're going to suddenly do it as CGI,
I
bet that's why. Because like a Goofy movie, like yeah, it's just hard to imagine like Disney putting out a film that looks like this nowadays.
There's a meme with Roxanne, right? That she looks different from all the other Goofy characters is because like she's technically a human with a dog nose. That's
Wow.
pretty much it. Yeah. If you look at her, it's like basically she has a dog nose, and then everything else about her is human. But if you look at Goofy and Max, they actually do have a snout.
Yeah,
That's
true.
where they made the meme with Goofy introduces Roxanne to. It's like Max introduces Roxanne to Goofy, and Goofy goes, "That's not a dog, Max. That's an ungodly creation of something else." And then Roxanne goes home crying, and then turns out the mother of Roxanne is Belle and Beast, and then Belle goes, "I told you we should have waited until your curse was broken."
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely, Beauty and the Beast there. Well, look, it's weird. Like girl cartoon characters always look more like girls, basically.
Humans.
Whereas,
Yeah. I am actually for that. I don't want to. I don't want to be attracted to an actual doggy type thing.
wait, Cap, what do you mean you don't want to be attracted to? What are you saying here?
Well, everyone got on the board with Lola Bunny, right? Like the Space Jam Lola Bunny, basically bunny movies. That was a bit uncomfortable for me because she still had a, you know, bunny face.
I just don't think you're meant to be attracted to cartoon characters.
I know, but that doesn't stop our generation technically. But what I'm
Yeah,
trying
it
to say is
doesn't
that,
stop some people.
yeah, like Lola Bunny's in the hot spectrum, like other hot characters. I always found that a bit weird, considering that Lola Bunny's face is a bunny. But I get if you like Chitara or other characters, even Roxanne in the sense like they're more human with just like face paints of animals. I was like, I understand that, but Lola Bunny has always been a for me. But all my
Wow.
most of my generations were like, Lola Bunny, yeah, she's hot.
Okay, so what was the deal with Jessica Rabbit not being a rabbit?
I think their daughter is going to be a, half
Yeah,
rabbit.
if Roger and Jessica Rabbit had a daughter, what would it be? Or a son?
So sometimes they do this in Disney's Treasure Planet. Like there's like a dog guy and there's like a cat lady, and they do show them having kids. And turns
Yeah.
out 3 of the girl kids look like their mom, and 1 boy kid looks like their dad. They did that with Lady and the Tramp and stuff like that. They never showed mutants where they have like half and half of parents. But technically, that would be the case if they'd done that in real life.
Yeah. They do, like, usually, like, if you see, like, Lady and the Tramp and something, when they have, like, children at the end, it's always, like, is it that they look half and half, or is it always, like, most of them look like the mum, and then there's just, like, one that looks like the dad?
The 1 boy looks like the dad. The 3
Yeah.
girl dogs look like mom.
Yeah.
But is that the thing with dog breeds? Is that how it works? Or it's like, no, they mix up, right?
Well, yeah, they mix up. Yeah, absolutely.
So again, that's the thing with, I always say, like, what's the dog? What's the lady? Well, she's a poodle or something like that, right?
In what?
The Lady and the Tramp. What type of dog breed is?
It's like a cocker spaniel.
So it's small, right?
Yeah.
But Tramp is either he's a giant schnauzer or something else, but as a giant schnauzer, he's too big for her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Okay, so
I don't think they can have puppies.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But here's another weird crossover which just brings to mind. I don't know if you ever played this game, because I don't know if it was on PC, but there was a Sonic the Hedgehog game, just literally called Sonic the Hedgehog, but it wasn't the original game. This was on PlayStation 3. So I don't know if it came out on PC or whatever. But in it, Sonic has to rescue a princess. And it's very much said that this was a romantic relationship between Sonic and this human princess.
Ah!
Yeah, it was so weird. Like, literally. What were they thinking?
Oh my god.
Like, how is this meant to work?
They're like, hey, Princess Peach into Mario, right? Yes, but he's human. They're both the same height.
Well, actually, I don't even, like, they've ruined Mario now, in a sense, because I don't even know what Mario's meant to be. Because on the most recent, not the most recent one, but the 3D Mario game they put out, like, 3 or 4 years ago, there was, a level you go to called New Donk City. I'm going to bring up an image if you don't know it. New Donk City. And let's see if I can show you an image. So you run around as Mario. And let's bring it up here. So you accept that, there you go, you're running around as Mario. Except there are humans which are normal proportions. So if that's a human, what the hell is Mario?
They broke the two worlds.
And that? It makes no sense. Because
it's the crossover of the 80s movies and the new movie, David.
Well, it's really weird, just because the other thing was, so you have the character Pauline. So before Princess Peach,
Yeah.
Mario's girlfriend that he saves in Donkey Kong was a character called Pauline. I'll bring up a picture. So Donkey Kong Pauline. Okay, and I'll show you Pauline. So here we see Donkey Kong stealing Pauline. And that's what she looks like. There's Donkey Kong. And that's what she looked like in the game. You can see they're the same height.
Yeah.
No one disputed anything. It wasn't weird at all. But then that's Pauline. Still looks like Pauline, but there's Mario. It's like,
oh my god.
What? So what? How does this work?
Mario likes his babes tall.
Well, exactly. Either she's like a Amazonian, like Wonder Woman, or he's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
She's a model, and Mario's a regular sized human. But with Princess Peach, right? She's meant to be a mushroom.
A mushroom?
I saw a film theory where they said, like, or a game theory, I think the video is that, like, Princess Peach is actually a mushroom that evolves, like the tiny mushroom people we see in the kingdom. Right. That's basically Princess Peach, but their last evolution is Princess Peach.
I mean, that'd be interesting because it doesn't quite make sense how she is like the princess of all of these mushroom people. But
there's
like the other name. No, go ahead.
There was also a theory that Peach is from the Legend of Zelda world, and like she portal fell to the Mario world.
Yeah, I don't see. Other than Super Smash Brothers and that one, there is one like the most recent Mario Kart game does have so you can race around as Link in it. I don't like them crossing Mario with Zelda. I think they should be two separate things. Just because. Like in the end, everything that Nintendo does ended up becoming Mario for years. Like when you had like the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64, they'd come up with new game ideas. But then when they did like the next, like the GameCube and the Wii, everything they did was Mario. And because I wanted the systems to sell well, so then because if I bought them and then like the GameCubes really did bad, and so then it didn't get as many games. But when they're doing like Mario basketball and they're doing Mario football on it, and it's just like just put different create some new characters, because
Mario, the Legend of Zelda.
Well, exactly. It was like create some new characters, and eventually they did Splatoon, which did well. But like for like 2 decades, they didn't come up with like a truly brand new world of characters. And it's like
Nintendo and Disney do have a thing, right, with the Kingdom of Hearts and something other.
No, Kingdom Hearts is the company Square Enix, and they do Final Fantasy.
Oh yes, the other company, but like didn't that Super Smash Brothers was different, right? That wasn't involved with Disney.
No, there was no Disney crossover with Smash Brothers, but like there's been a bunch of like Disney things that were Nintendo exclusives here or there throughout the years, but
like I think
never a crossover.
I think the 2001 people where they usually grew up with the Kingdom of Hearts. I never played it again. It was never on PC, so I couldn't play it. But everyone's been championing for a Disney to do a Kingdom of Hearts movie. I sometimes check out some of the gameplay footage. I think one for a video I was working on the Death of Goofy. And there was one popped up where Goofy basically dies in the game. And it's such a dramatic scene because like Goofy does take a ball to the head and Mickey and Donald throughout in a revenge rage go after whoever did it. So
wow.
I do like to see an edgy film with Disney, but I don't think that's a game. But I think with Mickey Mouse in specifically, like if they do a movie, they should go back to 2D. If they like do a 2D movie, I think Disney would just like win back a lot of fans.
Okay, so I don't know if I'll be able to find it quickly, but there was an exclusive, and maybe I don't know if it remained exclusive, but there was an exclusive Mickey Mouse game on the Nintendo Wii called Epic Mickey. and originally it was incredibly dark. So have a look at this, Cap. So that was Goofy in Epic Mickey, like a zombie.
That that was used in a recent Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was used. Okay, that wasn't used. That's
exactly. So this is what they were going to actually have it looking like. Concept art.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's see if I can bring it up. Let's just take it down in case something weird comes up on the screen. Okay, good. So, right. So this was going to be in a Mickey Mouse game. Like 4 arms, no nose, monster face. Like even that, like that's almost like the Mickey ears.
This is gonna be like, you know, that Nicolas Cage film where he goes into a bunch of puppet animatronics place and it's all haunted and they come back to fight him.
I don't think I've watched that one. Is that Wally's Wonder World or something?
Yeah.
I switched it off because he didn't speak.
Yeah, he didn't speak at all, but it was as brilliant as it comes because Nicolas Cage was just beating up a bunch of animatronics. I feel like this is a movie that, like, you can have Nicolas Cage spend a night in Disneyland and then suddenly all the animatronics come alive as these weird things and Nicolas Cage beats them up.
Jesus. But no, okay, so if you look here, that's Pinocchio's head.
Yeah.
That's Captain Hook. That's the Mad Hatter. And I'm not sure if that's meant to be Genie or someone. Doesn't quite look like Genie, but...
No, I think that's the king, probably. The cards king?
The who?
The King of Hearts. The husband of Queen of Hearts.
Oh, wow. No, I don't really remember that. But yeah, so they were going to do this really messed up Mickey Mouse game, and I think Disney at some point got cold feet on it, and they were like, no, you can't do that.
But that's a sad thing. Like, Walt wanted to do dark stuff. That's why he did Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he also invested heavily. Yeah.
But, like, Hunchback of Notre Dame came out 30 years after he died.
Oh. So what? Is it Black Cauldron?
Black Cauldron, yeah.
Is the one that they actually want to do?
Black Cauldron. Let's have a look when that was. I think that was about 1984. Black Cauldron.
Disney was still alive?
No, I don't think he was. But let's find out the backstory. Oh, 1985. Wow. Let's see. Development. Walt Disney Productions optioned it 5-volume series in 1971. Pre-production work began in 1973. Let's just have a look when Walt died, because I think it was before this point. So, oh my god, it's so hard to actually look up Walt Disney on the internet. So the Walt Disney Company, you think his name would come up and you could click on it. Let's just look up Walt Disney. Okay, so Walt Disney died in 1966. So I don't know. But yeah, they did the Black Cauldron and it didn't do well.
I saw in another video or something like that. Oh, I think this is one of the Nostalgia Girls video. Is that Disney one time went to a movie, much of a very darker film, a real movie, and then came out in theaters, said that I wish I could make that movie, but I can't. Is because his branding is so much kids related and much more of a cheery tune films that he couldn't. And that's why Disney had an edgy phase in the late 80s or the early 80s where they wanted doing darker movies. But I thought Disney was the reason why they did it, but maybe they were like carrying Disney's vision because they
could well be. But like time is so different. Like back then, like even if you see the film Saving Mr. Banks, where Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney, it shows him that he's smoking. Now this is a Disney produced film, but I think that was them literally being edgy in that, oh, we're not sugarcoating Walt here because we're showing that he smokes. Right. But he was, when someone comes in, he's like, oh, I've got to put this out because I can't let people see that.
Emma Thompson, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And I just don't think that's the case anymore, because literally, if you look at what's happened now, Disney, especially like with Marvel and perhaps what they might do, or we'll see what Deadpool 3 looks like, how Disney-fied it is. But even like with the X-Men, and especially what DC did with Joker, with dropping F-bombs and stuff like this. I remember, it was called like Titans or something, which was basically Teen Titans as a live action series.
Yeah.
And Robin is like F Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. And then like even on Suicide Squad or no, Peacemaker, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, hey, do you sleep with fish to Aquaman and stuff like that? It's like, wow, they're really not trying to protect an image anymore.
The weird thing is, like, if they had done that and just enough of that, that's okay. But like, they made Flash answer back saying, "But it's kind of true." Was like, what? What are you saying?
Yeah.
Is it true that he sleeps with fish?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But with the Marvel point, I want to touch upon is that if Marvel right now, they're not going to go the Kang route with all the actors problem and everything. If they just go shush on the main thing that they were doing, and I think I finally saw Loki season 2, David. Most
Amazing.
of it was dribble and characters acting stupid. But at the end of that episode, Loki becomes the Hindu god Kala Bhairavan, basically. He basically becomes a Hindu god where he controls time. But
Fantastic.
I'm 100% for that. Because like that, you can actually wrap up Kang's story with that. It's now like Loki now controls the multiverse. Now he's prevented all the Kang from escaping. Kang is done. Finish. Kaput. Don't talk about Kang. Don't talk about the new movies. Instead, after you do the Deadpool movie, go to the X-Men universe. They've not tapped it well enough. They can still do a good X-Men movie, and that could be their basis where they can lead up to Apocalypse or whatever threat they can find from X-Men, and that could be their new Marvel Universe phase, where the Avengers take a seat back.
I think that's a really good idea. Like, I don't think anyone would see that coming. I think that's such a good idea, Cap. Imagine, like, the next 5 years if everything was just like Wolverine, Deadpool, Charles Xavier, and everyone would be like, but where's the Avengers? And then you'd be desperate to see them again.
And then that will build up tension for later on, where you can shut off the X-Men, and then you can repeat different cycles.
Yeah.
But with the X-Men thing, right? I know you hate high school shows, David, but do check out the cartoon X-Men Evolution, which was a 2000 cartoons when I watched. I actually did see the 90s or the 80s one. I'm not really sure. The X-Men cartoon, the old one. I'm appreciative of it. Sorry?
It's got the best theme tune in the world.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would give it that. I think that also X-Men Evolution theme is also kind of the 90s edge, I would say, because it was the early 2000s. So
I need to listen to the theme tune of X-Men Evolution.
In that one, Wolverine is not a big thing in that series. He only does in 2 episodes. Yeah, that's why. Like, Wolverine is not a big thing in the X-Men. That was the thing. Because he was taking more of an older role. Like, they aged up Wolverine. They never just told that he was old, but he was more of a mentor role. And Storm was also in that same place. She was mentoring. But in this, again, they made a good thing. Wolverine doesn't have the hots for Jean Grey because she's younger and Wolverine's not interested in her. I think that was good.
That doesn't make any sense. He's immortal. Like, he's interested in her and he's like 200 years old in the movies anyway.
Yeah, but I always find that romance kind of weird. I never liked it. Like the battle between Cyclops and Wolverine fighting over Jean Grey. I was like, who cares? It's basically a rom-com plot in a superhero thing. Just cut that shit out.
Yeah. But you know what? Like the 90s X-Men series, like from what I remember, because I literally haven't watched it since the 90s. But Wolverine wasn't the biggest deal in that. He was an important character, but I remember when the movies first came out, I was like, why is this all Wolverine and hardly any Cyclops? Because like I liked Wolverine, but to me, Cyclops was the dude. You know, he's got like laser vision. Yeah. Exactly.
I think this is why I think you'll enjoy X-Men Evolution, because a lot of the focus is on Cyclops. Cyclops, again, he's going to school, he's going to high school basically. And he has all these other X-Men that he's like basically, the leader. Like even in school, he's like taking care of the younger versions of X-Men.
Yeah.
And Wolverine's taking more of a laid-back road. And you actually like Cyclops in this one because he was done as a likable character. But
Yeah.
I do have a soft spot for high school things. Miss Marvel, for some reason, I couldn't get into it. But I did like Ferris Bueller, like you said when you told me to check. No, I checked out before you said that, but I checked out Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
I like that shit.
Yeah. No, Breakfast Club is a classic.
That basically, like the X-Men Evolution, is basically Breakfast Club with mutants. That was great. Yeah, it's fun all around. And then they did the Wolverine and the X-Men, and this came out after the movies did so well. So Wolverine has to be the center of attention. And that season is basically Wolverine and the X-Men, and that was more of a mature, like a more darker thing. It only lasted one season, so it wasn't that successful. X-Men Evolution at least lasted for 3 seasons. So I think Disney could go on a little bit of a lighter tone, like with X-Men, you can have like earthly threats. You don't need to go to the whole darkness of the X-Men, where the mutants being persecuted because X-Men Evolution doesn't start like that. It starts like a normal Peter Parker like story where no one knows these mutants exist, and they go to school and they hide their identity. They only wear suits when they go out. You can build that same edge like this that you did in the 2000s, where like they're going to school, there no one knows any X-Men in the world. Like in your first like big second X-Men movie or something like that. Oh no, the world finds out. Then you can build on with bigger threats, something like Thanos, and then end the X-Men saga.
No, yeah, I completely agree. That's what they should do now, because the X-Men are such cool characters and people know them and people like them. Whereas
they're not the Immortals, right? Or the Eternals. They're not the Eternals.
Not the Eternals or the Immortals or what's the Inhumans or something like this.
Inhumans.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like it feels like they're scraping the barrel with this new. Now, fair play to Marvel. No one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were.
True.
You know, people had heard of Ant-Man, but it always sounded like a joke. And they turned these things into cool things. But, like, I still haven't watched Echo. I really do intend to. Right? I still haven't got around to watching Echo, which has just come out.
Is that the Daredevil story with that Daredevil, right?
Yeah, so it was a character in Hawkeye who is a Daredevil character. And they decided to give her own spin-off. And I don't know much about her, but I think the actress is deaf, and I think the character is a deaf mute character. I don't really know enough, but she's like a ninja assassin or something like this. And I've heard mixed things about it, but my biggest thought is, I don't care about Moon Knight. I don't care about Werewolf by Night or whatever it was called. I don't care about Ms. Marvel, truthfully. I cared about She-Hulk until I saw how it just destroyed everything they'd ever done in the MCU ever. Right? I was interested in seeing that. But then like all of the characters are just like they're trying to do the next generation. But the problem with doing a next generation by Disney is when Lady and Tramp had all of those children and they were just in the last minute of the movie and then they do a spin-off, there's a reason they put it straight to DVD. It's because it wasn't worthy to go to the cinema. And so now we're getting because I've said this theory before, I forget Kate Bishop, who is like the protege of Hawkeye. She's just someone that Hawkeye saved. He's a soldier. She's just someone that he saved. You know what I mean? Everyone is like Dr. Bruce Banner is like a scientist who worked on all of this stuff. His cousin is just a lawyer. It's like everyone's a no one. Like Tony Stark was a genius. And now there's going to be Ironheart, who is like a teenager. Ms. Marvel was a soldier who was then trained by aliens. Oh, sorry, Captain Marvel was a soldier, then trained by aliens. Ms. Marvel is just a fan of hers. Like, get some like legit tough people in there. Get like soldiers and geniuses. That's always been what Marvel had. They either had so like Captain America, he'd got such a strong heart and he became a super soldier. And then you had someone like Tony Stark or Bruce Banner or even Peter Parker. Even though he was young, they were all geniuses. So you either have geniuses or soldiers.
I think again they also when they built the ensemble cast, right? They've connected with like different personalities, strong personalities, but different personalities that can do an entertaining movies. If all these characters we've seen so far in the movies get together and do a movie, they're not going to be charming enough or likable enough or even going to have a good scene banter because all of them are just like different drones that have no idea fumble their way in.
Yeah.
For some reason, they just do movies with them. That's the problem. Even at the first glance, right, when they did first Iron Man movie, you got who Tony Stark was. He was this, rich playboy guy with an attitude problem. You saw Captain America with a strong person, a humble person, that classic 50s dad. And when they two meet, you get a clash of characters like the edgelords, the hipsters meet the 50s dad. And there was the good banter towards it. Right now, and also Thor. Thor was also thing. He was from a different world, so he didn't basically understand most of the things that these humans did, and that also went to a lot of jokes. Hulk always they did again, and I don't like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. Okay, I just gotta flat out say it. It was the weakest in all of them.
I don't mind it. Like I really like Edward Norton as the actor. I liked what he did as Bruce Banner, and I thought I was going to hate Mark Ruffalo. I was like, the rom-com guy, no. I actually liked him in the first Avengers film. And then the second one, I can't even massively remember what he did. But then I liked what they did with him in Thor Ragnarok. How Hulk was now talking and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But then Professor Hulk, I think that was the beginning of the end. Like, if anything, like I thought Avengers Infinity War was superb. And then all of the time travel and it not being the same Thanos, it being the time past Thanos, I was like, this is starting, Endgame wasn't as good as Infinity War. But if any sign in that movie was of a sign of things starting to crumble, it was that Hulk was now smart and permanently Hulk.
And I thought that was going to lead to a payoff. That's what I thought. Like, he was going to be this Professor Hulk, help to do the time travel thing. But at the end, like when the missiles hit, the real Hulk's going to come out. Like, he's going to lose it. Yeah. That's what I thought. And that would have been good. That rematch with Thanos and the Hulk. But that never happened.
No, that would have been a good payoff where, he can bring out proper Hulk when he needs to. But instead, then in I forget what movie it was in, but there was something in the last couple of years where you should see him like as a projection, and he was just Mark Ruffalo again. Oh, and even I think at the beginning of She-Hulk, he's just Mark Ruffalo again. And it's like, well, so why did you stay permanently as Hulk?
We don't know. To.
Yeah, it was just crazy. Oh.
And also like passing of the torch, right? With She-Hulk again, from the first episode, I was like handling it fine until it gave to the talk where I was like, I'm gonna teach you how to become the Hulk, and she was like, went into this rant like her experience is enough to be the Hulk, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
I see your point, and 100% in a real life human scenario. When if it's a human giving you advice, like, no, my experience is not. I'm all for that. But basically, you have the Hulk telling you, I'm going to teach you with all this, like, nah, I'm a human lawyer. I've been all of this. I can do this. What?
Well, exactly. It was like a passing of the torch opportunity. And it was like, no thanks. It was like, sorry, Yoda. I don't need to listen to you. Sorry, Mr. Miyagi. Who are you to teach me karate?
They made all the 80s protagonists unlikable as hell. They were all 80s protagonists, like going to Mr. Miyagi, going to Yoda, teach us, we can learn. But then right now, we don't need you. We don't. I think the 90s edge is still carrying them. I think that's probably the problem.
Yeah, it's terrible. Do you know what? Okay, so Cap, just changing gear a little bit, just because we've got a few minutes left, but then I'm going to have to take a breather before I go on to Extreme Improv. But did you hear? Apparently, they're going to make a Mandalorian movie. I put it in the title of the episode, so we should mention it. Speaking of Yoda,
I technically, right, when Baby Yoda came back, again, that was a problem. I did not like it. Baby Yoda shouldn't be a Mandalorian because that tiny thing is not going to be a Mandalorian for the first part. Okay? Master Yoda was a great duelist because he can use the Force. All those backflips and all those stuff that he can do when he's like full mastery of the Force. But he hasn't trained with Luke Skywalker. Luke was like, choose, and he didn't choose. So basically, he has zero idea how his like Force abilities work. So he can't really do the Yoda thing properly with Mandalorian gear. Well, like, it's
Yeah.
okay, there you have this tiny Beskar thing. Okay, laser swords, bullets won't hurt him. Pick it up, remove the helmet, squish. That's all you need to do.
Do you know, it'll be interesting to see what the plan is for this, just because if they've had something, they've done 3 seasons of Mandalorian plus one of Book of Boba Fett, so technically 4. And it's like, how do you now make this epic enough? Because the whole point of The Mandalorian was that it was like a Star Wars movie spread out over 8 episodes or 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's like, so how do you now make this like a 90-minute or 2-hour movie and make it so that people think that I should go and pay to see it rather than just, again, wait to see it on Disney Plus? Because I read a few minutes ago, just looking to see if there was any big headlines. Aquaman 2, not that this is Disney, but apparently on January 23rd, Aquaman 2 will be on streaming, or you'll be able to like download it or rent it online and that. And it's like it came out 5 weeks earlier. So like literally there's like I wanted to see the movie Wonka, and that came out before Christmas. And I didn't.
That's not coming out. That's not coming out to DVD, right?
No. But what I was going to say is, like, I haven't had a chance to see it yet. Like, I almost had a chance to see it last week, and it didn't end up happening. And so, if I'm like, oh, I didn't get to see it before Christmas, we're now a second week into January. If I'm like, well, it's going to be out in another 1 week's time, I'll just wait, and I'd never go to the cinema again. So, like, Aquaman 2, like, they've, like, it's flopped, and they're putting it straight out, and all that's going to teach people is, well, you don't need to go to the cinema. But from Disney's side, they've spent the last 3 years of Disney Plus teaching people, we give you this stuff, movie quality TV shows, so you could just watch them on Disney Plus. And why do you now need to why should you pay like 10 or 15 pounds or dollars or whatever to go see something which they've kind of already been giving you 8 episodes of for like £10 a month?
There's 2 things wrong. Like, I always thought this was going to happen. Streaming service are eventually going to become cable TV, whether you are like the Disney TV. That's what happened in the 2000s and the 90s, where everyone opened up their TV channels. But they still had to release movies because, like, you can't do things in TV the same way you can do it in a motion picture. You can't get all that budget in a TV show. And that's why the quality, again, they have all these movie star shows, but none of them have that high quality. Like Loki, the whole season 2 is, you can, like, if you fumble all of them in, you get a 1 good movie.
I agree. Literally, there is enough story there for 1 movie.
That's pretty much it. Nothing more. All the stuff that happened in that story was just filler. Out of episodes. And at the end of it, we're like finally, you're doing something. So that's going to affect, even if you're on a streaming platform, not all of us going to get that. And the other thing is, like, it's globally still, I don't, like when Disney movies came out, DVDs still came to Sri Lanka. Movie theaters did play Disney movies. But I'm not really sure everyone has, like, Disney. I don't even think Disney Plus is still available in Sri Lanka. And wow. Disney's going to lose most of those things. And they're probably not going to have that global market. They still need the movie theaters, in a sense, for their big projects. But as you said, we have gone to the point where I'll just wait for it. I even wait for things for series now. Like, I don't watch by episode. I just wait until the whole thing drops, and then I watch them. So I don't know. I don't know how profitable is this for streaming companies either, because like they're gonna increase the price. That's the thing's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Now, right now, you can see them, David, like splitting up successful shows. Like they split up season 2 of Invincible, basically because they knew it was successful, and they know they're gonna get a price increase in January the next year. So they're like, part 2 will be next year because you know need to happen in season 2. You
Yeah.
have to pay the extra money. So
It's
I'm not
weird
really
though.
sure how the
But like you say, like it happened with TV and cable and all that sort of stuff. Like history is kind of repeating because there was just television that you get through an aerial, and then you could either get cable or satellite dish, and it'd be like, wow, we got satellite, and it gives us like another 100 channels, and this is in the 90s, and it's like, oh, but now you can get like cable, and now you can get this other alternative. It's like, well, if I have to buy all of them, it's too expensive. And then suddenly there was Netflix. It's like, well, if I just get this one thing, it's cheaper than the others, and it gives me the movies from all of them. And then Disney were like, well, no, we're just going to put our movies on this thing. And then HBO was where the like Warner Brothers goes, and Netflix were like, now we're going to make original stuff, and Amazon was like, we're making original stuff, and Paramount, like they all got there. It's like, well, if I've got to buy all of them, I may as well have just bought like cable or satellite, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Disney have got a real problem in that they need to make this Mandalorian movie, because when they bought Star Wars and there was like episode 7 and then a spin-off set in the past, and then episode 8 and then Han Solo set in the past, and then episode 9, but because that flopped, they're like, oh, we're not going to do any more of those. But also coincidentally, they were just coming up with Disney Plus, so they could just focus on that. But suddenly they were just like, well, we've got 7, 8, and 9, and we can space them out with these spin-off things, because if people want them, we'll give them to them. But because the quality was dodgy, it meant that people said, actually, we don't want this. I think there is still something they would want if it's good. But now they're in a problem, unless they're going to suddenly say, well, we're going to do Star Wars -1, 2, and 3, and Star Wars 10, 11, and 12. Anything that they put out won't feel like it's building to anything, because
they are going to do Star Wars 10, 11, and 12, David. Like I think Daisy Ridley's back, and they're doing stuff.
They said that the guy that ruined episode 8 was going to do a new trilogy, but that was like 7 years ago now or something.
Even Taika's, no, I think that something happened late 2023 with the Star Wars Expo and anything like that. Like they brought Daisy Ridley back in.
But I think, as far as I know, that's one movie, right?
I think planning on doing 3.
It will only be one. It will only be one. They'll do the first one.
I think that's they're going with. The title is going to be Rey Palpatine, not Skywalker. I feel bad for Daisy Ridley.
I don't. She's going to get bank for this. She's going to get a lot of money.
Yeah, she's going to get.
She'll be okay. You know.
With Mandalorian, right, in season 3, like before the Boba Fett thing, in season 3, I think the character dropped off. I didn't even finish Mandalorian season 3, mainly because Din Djarin had nothing to do in that series.
Yeah.
In season 1 and season 2, he had a goal that it was going for. He had some side quests where he helped out other people with their goals, but that benefited his goal, like finding a space base for Baby Yoda. That was sort of thing anymore. It's now about racing Baby Yoda, but that he didn't spend much screen time doing that. He's now tagged along the series, like rebuilding the Mandalorian Empire. That was never gonna be a good role for Din Djarin, considering that he's like, you know, that the normal characters in a DC universe, like Deadpool, like sort of characters, where like the whole story happens and you have this background character doing their own thing, like Spider-Man or anything like that.
Yeah,
they should have been a separate story where it's about gunslingers, gangsters, and bounty hunting, which now went into the overall plot about rebuilding Mandalore. They should have just done a Bo-Katan show and done that, and did stop with the Mandalorians and left Mandalorian alone. And if they said, we're going to do a Mandalorian movie, and you're like, what's going to happen? What's he going to do? Baby Yoda's with Skywalker. You have all these questions that you need to answer. Right now, What is he going to do? What's his
I don't know.
purpose?
I don't know. I mean, I think at the time they were like, oh, like everyone hated 7, 8, and 9. Well, they didn't. Everyone hated 8, but because they hated 8 and they didn't like Solo that much, and then they were like, oh, 9 is just trying to please us, but it's not really that great. And then they started retroactively hating 7. When Mandalorian came out and people liked it, they were like, well, we're doing Book of Boba Fett, but they just panicked and they were like, we've got to keep this Star Wars alive. We'll do more Mandalorian, whilst we also put out Obi-Wan, which, you know, wasn't all that. I didn't see Andor. I started it, but it just didn't. And I've heard that it's the best thing that they've done other than Mandalorian, so I do need to check it out. But
they said that, I think that was a thing for the Rogue One movie as well. They said like it's a really good film that no one really paid attention to.
I liked Rogue One. You know, it was. Yeah, so Rogue One came out in between 7 and 8. And so that still got good, you know, press at the time.
This is the follow-up or the previous story of that, right? Andor.
So Rogue One is the direct prequel to the first, to episode 4. So it leads directly into episode 4. You know, and that's fine. But the problem with all of this is that when Disney Plus, when you go onto Disney Plus, it shows on the screen Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and for some reason, National Geographic and Pixar. And it's like, you need more than just that. Because they were like, well, 1 month we're going to have a Star Wars show. The next month we're going to have a Marvel show. Now, you can't suddenly say the next month we're just going to have a Disney show because it's not the same audience. There will be a crossover between Marvel and Star Wars. But if you do Marvel, Star Wars, it just gets, people get tired of it. And they end up not tuning in. And the more you need to watch all of them, the less you'll watch any of them, basically. Yeah. You know. But so I think if they come up with something really good, what I think they could do, they need Baby Yoda to become a Yoda. They need him to be able to talk, and they need him to be able to be a leader. And even if it's that they jump forward in time 100 years or something, because like the Force is dead and they've got Rey out there. If you have, because look, from when is Mandalorian set? So by the time you've got Rey, in this Rey movie, Baby Yoda might be adult Yoda.
No, he won't be adult, but he would be a teenager at least, you can say.
Well, he might be able to talk at least, right? It depends how quickly they develop, right? Yeah. So anyway, because if the Force is going to continue after like the end of the original trilogy, what they came up with is that Luke Skywalker tried to come up with something, and Kylo Ren went mad and killed everyone and became evil, and basically the Force is dead. And then Luke Skywalker just evaporated for no reason. At least when Obi-Wan died, it was like in a battle. Luke Skywalker just sat.
You're not sure that it was the Force or Darth Vader just killing.
Yeah,
they didn't know. Like Darth
at that time, you had no way of knowing.
Yeah,
Luke Skywalker just evaporated on the side of a mountain where he drank green milk.
I've astro projected myself too much. This is the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, you did it, Luke. It's your own fault. He could have gone with Rey. It would have been fine.
Yeah, just hop on a ship and go.
Just get on a bus. Yeah. Right. And so anyway, so
I must astro project myself.
If the new Rey movie can somehow bring Baby Yoda, or if that's like two separate things, but Baby Yoda still being not just Force sensitive, but having the Force and finding other people that are Force sensitive and building up some next generation. This is the problem with all of these things. Everyone's afraid to do like the next generation. Star Trek did it once, and forever since then, they're like, we're just going to hover around the 2 generations we know, primarily the original. And like Star Wars, they're like, all right, we tried a new thing. People weren't so sure. So now we're just going to hover around the originals. You know, it's like, come up with something new. Take the story forward somewhere.
That's what Clone Wars did, but it didn't do either. So
But wasn't
technically,
that set
Clone
in
Wars,
between?
yeah,
That's yeah, so that's still prequel.
yeah, but they introduced a new character. So basically, you had Ahsoka, and you see Ahsoka grow as a person as this seasons go on. They literally, I think, had a voice actress who was younger as well, and she also kind of grew up with that show. So you had that passing of torch movement, and that's why Dave MC made up the point. They basically stole Luke Skywalker stories and then turned that into Ahsoka. Uh,
Oh,
so that's what they basically did. The problem is they never gave Luke's story. That's the problem. They never did a Luke story where he rebuilt the Jedi Order, where he did anything after that final episode where he defeats Darth Vader, defeats Palpatine. They cheapened all of that in the Last Jedi when they said, "Oh, he opened up a boot camp, and then he was a terrible counselor, so Kylo Ren killed
yeah.
everyone. Like that one edgy teenager killed everyone. That's how powerful he is." And then he basically the terriblest dark Jedi of all time, I would say. He got beaten by everyone, even in every movie. He couldn't even kill Luke because he was fighting an astral projection.
Yeah.
Terrible villain, by the way. So they missed all these gaps opportunities when they jumped, when they didn't have a proper like Ray right now, right? If they hadn't done those three movies in the past, or if they just they just like pretend the three movies didn't happen. They did a Luke movie where like there's a younger generation of Luke, and they did three movies, and now we go into the Ray phase. That would have been okay.
Yeah.
Right now you ruined everything. The only thing you
Yeah.
can do is like scrap the three movies and then say, yeah, that's not Luke, that's not what happened, that's Elseworld or something like that shit, and then
So
say, basically say, so you know that you Luke Skywalker you see in the Mandalorian, that's the Luke Skywalker. He's rebuilding the Jedi Order, and then have that new actor with the weird CGI
I mean,
go.
they said that so much stuff was they didn't. Star Wars don't use Elseworlds, but they use a different term, legacy or something like this. And they said
Uh,
that all of like the movies and not the movies, all the comics and books and stuff are this tales from a Star Wars or whatever they call it. And I think it's so hard for Star Wars that they had such big movies, 7, 8, and 9, for them to say that that didn't count. But then when you look at other things like Terminator, like Halloween, how they were just like, yeah, well, this one's going to ignore. Like, I think there's so many different Terminator 3 nows. Yeah, so
yeah,
like so many of them just like, well, this is the one that follows 1 and 2 only. Now this one just follows 1 and 2, but each time it does worse at the box office,
that
probably
is true.
because everyone's like, I don't understand what's going on anymore. You know,
I
right,
think,
Cap? Okay,
yeah,
go ahead. But I'm going to
I
have to
think
wrap in a minute. Go.
there is a problem like you skipping things, but I think Star Wars, because they haven't done that, you have the option to, because people already hate those trilogies anyways, so you're not going to lose any. So if you make anything that is like terrible than what you did in the previous three movies, they're going to go like, you know what, I like the previous three. Hey, guess what, we have that in Disney Plus, we can restart that thing, do whatever, go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. On that note, Cap Fave, we will wrap things up for today. This has been an awesome show. We've got deep into things. So,
Yes, long chat.
absolutely. Right. So, Cap Fave, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Sword Dudes, where I sing, I dance, I throw myself in a bucket, and I worked with puppets. You can watch my recent short where Goofy explains the 90s. It's a thing. He did that in How to Mouse Show. So basically, go watch that. And also, what else? Yes, next week on Sunday night or Sunday evening for you guys, Monday morning for me, there will be a Sword Dudes Talk episode 2 featuring Dave MC. We both basically get down and talk about how we can reboot the DC universe if we were James Gunn. So it's going to be a longer video. Wait for it. It'll happen next Sunday evening or Monday morning.
Awesome stuff. So, my name is David Pistansky. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Pistansky, spelled Pustansky. Do check out the Geek Battle YouTube channel if you're watching on the Extreme Improv one, and do vice versa if you're watching on the Geek Battle one. Check out Extreme Improv. So, with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, live long and prosper, and ciao for now.
That's
Boom
over.
and cap. There you go. Oh, copyright. Okay, we're off the air.